I may have picked the wrong character to read something verbatim, but I will still try. By the way, I found a mob. So this letter came across my feed today, and it was apparently sent by the United States Department of Education Office for Civil Rights, the acting assistant secretary. So here we go, and it was dated on Valentine's Day. How lovely. February 14th, 2025. So let's go and get my screen ready here so I can read it easier while that cat's going down. There's a lot of annotations too, so please be aware I may be doing some annotations. If there is, I will let you know. Okay? It says, Dear colleague, discrimination on the basis of race, color, or national origin is illegal and morally reprehensible. I'm glad that statement we probably could all agree with, right? It starts nice, but I go on. Accordingly, I write to clarify and reaffirm the non-discrimination obligations of schools and other entities that receive federal financial assistance from the United States Department of Education, parentheses department. So anytime department is mentioned from now on, they mean the Department of Education. Okay, that's what that means in this type of a paper or a letter. This letter explains and reiterates existing legal requirements under Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Equal Protection Clause of the United States Constitution, and other relevant authorities. One was after that word department that was in parentheses, two was after 1964, and three was after other relevant entities. I'll explain later. But remember that because I'll go over the footnotes. In recent years, American educational institutions have discriminated against students on the basis of race, including white and Asian students, many of whom come from disadvantaged backgrounds and low-income families. These institutions embrace a pervasive and repugnant race-based preferences, their words, not mine, and other forms of racial discrimination have emanated throughout every facet of academia. For example, colleges, universities, and K 12 schools have routinely used race as a factor in admissions, financial aid, hiring, training, and other institutional programming, in a shameful echo of a darker period in this country's history. Many American schools and universities even encourage segregation by race at graduation ceremonies and in dormitories and other facilities. Okay, lots to unpack. Lots to unpack. And what they're saying is white people are being discriminated against because they're white. Now, number one, for other declarative purposes, throughout this letter, quote, school, quote, is used generally to refer to preschool, elementary, secondary, and post-secondary educational institutions that receive federal financial assistance from the department. 2. Title VI provides that, quote, no person in the United States shall, on the ground of race, color, and national origin, be excluded from participation in or be denied the benefits of or be subjected to discrimination under any program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. So they're using that red letter text of the law against you, which is what they're pros at. Now, number 3. This document provides significant guidance under the Office of Management and I forgot to verify you. The Office of Management and Budget's final bulletin for agency good guidance practices. It's 72 FedReg 3432 from 2007. This guidance does not have the force and effect of law and does not bind the public or create new legal standards. This document is designed to provide clarity to the public regarding existing legal requirements under Title VI, the Equal Protection Clause, and other federal civil rights and constitutional law principles. If you are interested in commenting on this guidance, please email your comment to ocr@ed.gov. That's what it said to do. Or write to the following address: Office for Civil Rights, U.S. Department of Education, 400 Maryland Avenue Southwest, Washington, D.C. 20202. For further information about the department's guidance processes, please visit the department's webpage. Okay, so again, I've been reading this just verbatim. Let me get to number 2. This is a 4-pager. Like I said, buckle up. You're going to be here a little while. But in the meantime, we'll just do some perfect pulls on the Mistvale gorillas that nobody cares about because they're not quest mobs. So now we are on page 2. Let me zoom it in here while I'm getting into lag. Thank you. Educational institutions have toxically indoctrinated students with the false premise that the United States is built upon systemic and structural racism, that was in quotes, and advanced discriminatory policies and practices. Proponents of these discriminatory practices have attempted to further justify them, particularly during the last 4 years, under the banner of diversity, equity, and inclusion. You knew that monster was coming, didn't you? Parentheses, DEI. So now DEI is going to refer to that for the purposes of this document. I go on. So back to the letter. Smuggling racial stereotypes and explicit race consciousness into everyday training, programming, and discipline. But under any banner, discrimination on the basis of race, color, or national origin is, has been, and will continue to be illegal. Which that one sentence is correct. That discriminating is illegal, but the rest of this is just a bunch of horse manure so far. But I go on. Ready? The Supreme Court's 2023 decision in Students for Fair Admissions versus Harvard. You knew that one was going to come back, didn't ya? No. Which clarified that the use of racial preferences in college admissions is unlawful, sets forth a framework for evaluating the use of race by state actors and entities covered by Title VI. The court explained that, quote, classifying and assigning students based on their race is lawful only if it satisfies strict scrutiny, which means that any use of race must be narrowly tailored that is necessary to achieve a compelling interest. To date, the Supreme Court has recognized only 2 interests. I lost my spot. There it is. As compelling in the context of race-based action. 1, remediating specific. Where'd that go? There it is. Remediating specific identified instances of past discrimination that violated the Constitution or a statute. And 2, avoiding imminent and serious risks to human safety in prisons, such as a race riot. Nebulous concepts like racial balancing and diversity are not compelling interests. As the court explained in SFFA, an individual's race may never be used against him and may not operate as a stereotype in governmental decision making. I'm not going to read the other footnotes. Sorry, those are just small ones. There's small ones, and they're just references. They're just referencing. I'll post what I've got over on Blue Sky too, so don't worry. Now, I go back to our letter. Now, let's see if these cats ever came back. Yeah, they did. Yay. Now, although SFFA addressed admissions decisions, the Supreme Court's holding applies more broadly. At its core, the test is simple. If an educational institution treats a person of one race differently than it treats another person because of that player's race, because of that person's race, sorry, I'm gaming right now. Sorry, I looked up at my player. So please pardon that. Please pardon that. Let me reread the sentence. If an educational institution treats a person of one race differently than it treats another person because of that person's race, the educational institution violates the law. Federal law thus prohibits covered entities from using race in decisions pertaining to admissions, hiring, promotion, compensation, financial aid, scholarships, prizes, administrative support, discipline, housing, graduation ceremonies, and all other forms of student, academic, and campus life. Put simply, educational institutions may neither separate or segregate students based on race nor distribute benefits or burdens based on race. Although some programs may appear neutral on their face, a closer look reveals they are in fact motivated by racial considerations, and race-based decision-making, no matter the form, remains impermissible. For example, a school may not use a student's personal essays, writing samples, participation in extracurriculars, or other cues as a means of determining. I had to turn a page. Or predicting a student's race and favoring or disfavoring such students. It might have looked like I was AFK. I really was for a second because I had to turn the page. So, relying on. Oh, I should be able to charge. Okay. Relying on non-racial information as a proxy for race and making decisions based on that information violates the law. That is true whether the proxies are used to grant preferences on an individual basis or a systemic one. It would, for instance, be unlawful for an educational institution to eliminate standardized testing to achieve a desired racial balance or to increase racial diversity. Other programs, I know, I know, just before you even say anything, I know. Now, other programs discriminate in less direct but equally insidious ways. Ooh, nice word, insidious. DEI programs, for example, you knew that was going to come back, frequently preference certain racial groups and teach students that certain racial groups bear unique moral burdens that others do not. Such programs stigmatize students who belong to particular racial groups based on I'm sorry, crude racial stereotypes. Oh, I'm out of rage. Oh well. Sorry, let's come back. Consequently, they deny students the ability to participate fully in the life of a school. The department will no longer tolerate the overt racial discrimination that has become widespread in this nation's educational institutions. The law is clear. Treating students differently on the basis of race to achieve nebulous goals such as diversity, equity, and in where did it go? Such as diversity. Sorry, right. I just went on. I went on. I filled in a blank. I should not have done that. Let me go back and read it verbatim. Treating students differently on the basis of race to achieve nebulous goals such as diversity, racial balancing, social justice, or equity is illegal under controlling Supreme Court precedent. They're listening to the court only when they want to, by the way. Now I go back. All students are entitled to a school environment free from discrimination. There we go. I lost my place. Sorry. The department is committed to ensuring those principles are a reality. This letter provides notice that the department's existing interpretation of federal law. Additional legal guidance will follow in due course, which means there's going to be more. This is that whole patriotic curriculum coming. I digress and I go back to the letter, reading it verbatim again. The department will vigorously enforce the law on equal terms to all preschool, elementary, secondary, and post-secondary educational institutions, as well as state educational agencies that receive financial assistance. The department intends to take appropriate measures with the applicable statutes and regulations based on the understanding embodied in this letter beginning no later than 14 days from today's date, including anti-discrimination requirements that are a condition of receiving federal funding. So that means 14 days from the date of the letter is February 28th, the last day of the month. Okay, just letting you know when that's supposed to take effect. All educational institutions are advised to 1. Ensure that their policies and actions comply with existing civil rights law. There's a page turn coming, sorry in advance. 2. Cease all efforts to circumvent prohibitions on the use of race by relying on proxies or other indirect means to accomplish such ends. And 3, cease all reliance on third-party contractors. I'm not kidding on any of this so far. Clearinghouses or aggregators that are being used by institutions in an effort to circumvent prohibited uses of race. Full time out. Hang on, this needs a full time out. Because number 2 is a cudgel clause. That's what it feels like to me. Okay? And what I mean by a cudgel clause is it's something that somebody's going to take to bang over your head anytime they need to bang something over your head. In this case, the cudgel is about, I wonder if they came back or not. Let's go look. The cudgel is proxies or other indirect means. So basically, if the white person didn't get the job, they're going to say, no, number 2, take a look there. That's what it says. It could be a proxy or another indirect means. And that's exactly how they're going to use this. Exactly 100% how they're going to use that. It is a cudgel clause. All right, so here is the final page, and it's a short one, thank heavens for that. Institutions that fail to comply with federal civil rights law may, consistent with applicable law, face loss of federal funding. So if you don't give the white person the job and then they complain and then you still don't give the white person that job, you've just lost all of your federal money. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. Anyone who believes that a covered entity has unlawfully discriminated may file a complaint with OCR. Information about filing a complaint with OCR, including a link to the online complaint form, is available. They give a link because of the structure of the letter. You can find it relatively easily. Just look for OCR complaint form. You should be able to find it very fast. Thank you in advance for your, back to the letter, last paragraph. Thank you in advance for your commitment reread, sorry. Thank you in advance for your commitment to providing our nation's students with an educational environment that is free of race, color, or national origin discrimination. Sincerely, Craig Trainer, Acting Assistant Secretary for Civil Rights, United States Department of Education. So if the white person didn't get it and they complain now, you're now going to lose your federal funding. And don't think for a moment there aren't enough vindictive white people to do that. I know of one school in my area that is that that is celebrating Black History Month, and I'm expecting someone to complain this year, but that when they've done it for I don't know how many years, but someone's going to complain about it this year. It's coming. And they can now file with the Office of Civil Rights against Black History Month. Again, let that sink in. There, they are saying there's only white history, and that's all there is. And after this Panther, I'm going to call this one done because this one took a little while, and there's one more to come from this, so stay tuned. That was number 6 of 10. So for today's news and Warcraft, this is Nermal. I wish you a great day and great gaming. Bye, everybody.